TBCN presents Tampa Bay Soapbox, a special production to highlight the public's views on different topics. This edition features comments aimed at the 2012 RNC convention.
Welcome, I'm Ben Eason. I'm the board president of Speak Up Tampa Bay. We are your town's public access center, and this is an experimental program we're putting together. It's called Tampa Soapbox. And so we're solicited views from all over the Tampa Bay community, some visitors for our Republican friends that are in town. We felt like this is a great place to present a whole range of views, and it's in keeping with the spirit of public access.
On behalf of the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners, I extend a warm welcome to all who are attending and participating in the national dialogue here in our community with the 2012 Republican National Convention. We are both pleased and proud to have you in our community for this historic occasion. It is truly moving for all of us to see democracy in action and policy shaped through the political process. First, I congratulate the organizers of this incredible effort. The convention's Committee on Arrangements and the local host committee have done Herculean work over many months, and it will soon be evident to an international audience of billions viewing our wonderful corner of the world. Our own Mayor Bob Buckhorn, Tampa Police Chief Jane Castor, and Hillsborough County Sheriff David Gee have worked tirelessly, and I extend my heartfelt appreciation. They've been working together seamlessly to provide a safe and secure venue where all can practice freedoms we hold dear, the freedom of speech and the freedom to assemble. Democracy is at its best when it allows for nonviolent protest and divergent points of view. To our many visitors, we hope you will take time out of your busy schedules to enjoy the many amenities we have. Tampa and Hillsborough County are home to many world-class attractions and museums, professional sports teams, and cultural venues. Enjoy the best in cuisine, from southern favorites like barbecue, to the freshest seafood, to flavorful Cuban dishes in Ybor City. Take a moment to notice and appreciate our diverse heritage. As a community, we've been purposeful about integrating our history with our future, specifically working to attract creative thinkers and doers and to create an environment that is both urbane and authentic. We invite you to enjoy all we have to offer, and more importantly, we welcome you to return to our community. Hillsborough County wants you to be informed at all times with up-to-date event information. Visit hillsboroughcounty.org/RNC or call us at 813-272-5900. Again, I want to congratulate the many organizers of the Republican National Convention and welcome all who visit Tampa Bay. We're glad you're here.
I'm Charlie Miranda, Chairman of the Tampa City Council. On behalf of all the council members of the city and the citizens of the city of Tampa, we welcome the Republican National Convention to our wonderful and great city. I'm sure they're going to have a good time. I'm sure we're going to have a chance to show off our city and the hospitality that our citizens and our business leaders will welcome. The convention would be second to none. It's an opportunity that we have to show off our city to the world. As all of us know, there'll be about 15,000 or so individuals from the news media. What bigger show than that? That is bigger than 4 or 5 Super Bowls put into 1 week. So it's time to behave, time to enjoy, and time to understand what our freedoms are. Let's all partake and let's all see that the freedoms are allowed on both sides: the freedom of speech, the freedom of assembly, the freedom of religion, and the freedom of doing it right. And that's what Tampa is all about. We have a wonderful city, a city that is very kind to all of us, a city with opportunities, a city that's turning around and being more youthful, more professional, and more business atmosphere than ever before. So the city of Tampa welcomes the Republicans National Convention to the city, and hopefully they'll have a great time and they'll do their business and the democracy that this country is based on. This is not about ideology. This is not whether I like it or you and I don't like it. This is about the facts and the history of our great nation and what makes us one big, large country, united for the freedoms of all.
The governor of our fair state of Florida has often said that government needs to be run more like a business. And I get what he's trying to say. We need to worry about efficiency. We need to worry about making certain that we haven't got deep deficits, that there isn't waste. But here's the problem with the governor's vision. He believes that if government is run like a business, automatically it's more efficient, automatically it's better. Here is the main problem with that situation. Government is not a business. The bottom line of business is profit. Take care of your investors, take care of your stockholders. The bottom line of government is the people. Protect them. Let them live and thrive and be productive. When we skew those two visions, there's problems. George Washington said that government needs to do for people what they cannot do for themselves. Protect us, give us infrastructure, keep us safe, give us an environment where we can build and grow. But my friends have told me that we need to be concerned about efficiency, and that is why we're talking about government as business. But here's the difference. In business, efficiency has the same goal, but different process. In business, efficiency has to do with all about profit, reducing expenses, increasing revenues. And if by chance one of those expenses happens to be salaries, so be it. If it means using cheaper materials to get your product out and get more revenue, so be it. Because profit is the bottom line. But in government, it's not profit, it's the people. It's the programs you create to protect people, to create infrastructure. If you're reducing expenses, it's to become more efficient, to be a better steward of the taxpayer's dollar, to be more accountable. And if you're increasing revenue, you're doing so to make certain that your programs work better, and therefore the people that you serve become better citizens, become better consumers, and become a better part of society. A case in point of what happens when you look at government like a business is that you look at people in a different fashion. In Florida, they tried doing drug testing for welfare recipients to see if that would make the welfare system more efficient, make those dollars stretch longer. The problem was they were looking at people as how much money they were spending on it and not who they were. Oftentimes, welfare recipients are not these drug users lying on the street waiting to pick up checks. They're single mothers. They're fathers out of work, families in trouble. And that is why when the drug testing was done, there was a 97% negative rate. A lot of dollars were spent, a lot of money was wasted, all because the vision looked at the people strictly as profit. And that's a problem. Government is set to protect us from foreign enemies. But sometimes government also has to protect us from businesses too. Because when their bottom line is profit, sometimes people get endangered. And that's what regulations are for. And when it comes to health care, the same situation occurs. If you have a health care system that is so expensive, so unaffordable, there needs to be some kind of situation put in place so that health care becomes more affordable and you can protect your people. When health care is unaffordable, people lose. They lose their ability to be productive, to be a good consumer. So we need to look at government as for the people. And therefore, we need to start putting politics aside and looking at people, putting profit aside and looking at patients, and putting partisanship aside to look for progress. And I will vote for the candidate who gets this concept. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Willis K.C. Bowick, President of the African American Republican Club of Hillsborough County. And we would like to know, why is there no participation for African American and minority businesses to receive contracts and jobs here in the state of Florida? The RNC, Republican Party of Florida, needs the African American votes. They want the votes, so we need to see that you are helping us as we help you. Let's work together to make it happen, and let's enjoy each other. Thank you, and may God bless.
So as I was preparing for this today, well, first let me just start by introducing myself. My name is Joel Morales, and I am a youth pastor at Heritage Church. We're a Christian church, and as I was thinking about what to say today and what could I say with 5 minutes? What could one say when they know that thousands of people are going to listen? What would one person say? What point could one make if you only had 5 minutes to get a huge message out to masses of people? And the message I had to say was this: the need of our country, the great needs of our country, it can't be solved just by human effort. We need divine intervention. The great needs of our cities, of our towns, of our communities. If we look at human trafficking, how America ranks third in the earth in human trafficking. If we look at poverty, if we look at unjust government, wrong and unjust laws that actually hurt the people and harm the people instead of helping people, making life better for the American public. If we look at the things that we're up against, national debt, mortgage crises, broken homes, divorce rates through the roof, suicide rates through the roof, abortion rates through the roof. If we look at these crises, if we look at the crisis of the land, what can one person say in 5 minutes to make a statement that can somehow bring hope or some kind of change to the people listening? The statement is this: the Bible says that if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves to pray and turn away from their wicked ways, I would hear from heaven, I would answer them, and I would heal their land. Ladies and gentlemen, America at large is at a crossroads. Our land is sick. Our land has been sick with injustice, with poverty, with everything wrong that we can think of with this nation. Our land is sick, and we need a healer. Jesus Christ said that he said he didn't come for the righteous or he didn't come for the healthy, but he came for the sick. And that's why I think in perilous times like these, where people's foundations, economic foundations, and things that they all would once put their comfortable faith in are crumbling before them, when all these people are nothing but seeing mountains all around them, Jesus, that's a perfect invitation for him to step in. That's why he's called the Savior. I don't like to profess that I know everything about God or that, I have all the answers, because I don't. But I know he does. I know Jesus does. And I know putting our faith in him and calling out to him, I know we can do something miraculous. I know great things can happen. I've seen great things happen in my own life. I've seen great things happen over whole cities. And that's why I'm here today, talking to you. There's an event that we do called Kneel United. I'm part of a committee. This isn't something that I'm in charge of. I'm not in charge of it. But I am part of the committee of thousands of people gathering together for prayer, corporate prayer, asking God to come back into our institutions, come back into our schools, come back into our social and economic programs, to reincorporate biblical foundations of the kinds of things the very nation was founded on. I don't really, like I said before, have all the answers, but I know God does. So if you're listening today, for your own life, I want to say, I challenge you to put your trust in God. Prayer is the answer to the great crisis. Thank you.
Tampa Bay Soapbox.
Hello, my name is Dan Garza, and I'm one of the executive directors of Liberty Banner for Veterans Incorporated. Today I'm here to speak to you about, I've seen some billboards lately coming out that said the term homeless and veterans should never be used together, and I have to say I agree with that. Back in November of 2009, it's a long story exactly what happened, but I found myself without a roof over my head. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had just used my life savings up on something, and I was not prepared for it. I approached the VA for help, and they wanted to know if I had any substance abuse problems, did I feel like killing myself or someone else? And the answer to all three of those questions was no. And due to that answer, they couldn't help me. It just so happened that I remembered that a group of men from my church had gone to Liberty Manor for veterans about 6 months prior to this happening. And they had mentioned, how much fun they had had there, patronizing the place and speaking and sitting down with all the veterans. They actually cooked for them and, made a nice meal and sat down and broke bread together. Well, I remembered that, and I just made one phone call. I called 813-352-7856, and I reached a gentleman by the name of Jeff Ludicky. And that night, Connie and Jeff made sure that I had a warm bed, a roof over my head, all the food I could cook and eat, cable TV, internet, everything that I basically needed to where I could get back up on my feet. I didn't quite know how to approach, my goals right away, but, I didn't know exactly. There was a lot of unanswered questions. So it gave me a place to figure out what had happened to me so that, I could learn the lesson and not have that happen again. As it turned out, one day Connie asked me for my DD-214, and I was a little suspicious at first because she was mad at me, but nonetheless I gave it to her because she is the most trustworthy person I've ever met. And I get a call from the VA about 2 months later. And, those of you that don't know what a DD-214 is, it's a discharge paper that we get when we get out. If we don't retire, we just get a little sheet of paper, and that's it. Well, 2 months go by, and I get a call from the VA that I now have a pension that I wasn't aware of. Connie had gone out of her way without even me asking anything and did this for me. And she does this for all her veterans. I can't go out and get a job because of my injuries. I take an exorbitant amount of pain medication, and I'm a liability. So nobody's going to hire me. So, that is one of the things that I really needed to have stability in my life was that pension. Because of the VA's answer that they couldn't, help me, I did really feel like, the Army's saying is no man left behind. I do feel that the VA did leave me behind. It took a private organization, such as Liberty Manor for Veterans, to make it to where I had a roof over my head and wasn't sleeping in my truck. She can, and Liberty Manor can, transition these men out between, I want to say, 2 to 3 months. There's one thing when I talk about that 3 months that I want all of you to understand. A man coming out of prison can get help, housing assistance for 90 days, and I couldn't. And I served my country for over 10 years. I find something wrong with that. Something needs to change, and I don't even think people are aware of that. Less than 1% of our population is serving in our armed forces right now. Out of 310 million people, less than 1% is serving. Think about that.
Hi, I'm Yvonne Maroney, and I'm with the Guardian Ad Litem program of Hillsborough County. And we are a program that represents the best interest of children who have been removed from their home due to abuse, abandonment, or neglect. We do this primarily with volunteers, and that is what I'm asking of you today, to really consider volunteering with the Guardian Ad Litem program. You can make a difference in the life of a child, and that'll make a difference in our community. Our children need someone to stand up for them, to visit them, to tell their story to the judges in the dependency court system. Currently in Hillsborough County, there are over 3,000 children who need a guardian ad litem. We're able to provide a volunteer to 1,800 of those children. However, there's 1,200 children currently in Hillsborough County who won't have a guardian ad litem because we just don't have enough volunteers. So if you have between 12 and 15 hours a month that you would like to give back to your community, we would love to talk to you to tell you more information about our program and to tell you how you could make a difference in the life of a child. Our volunteers come from all walks of life. They have all kinds of experiences, and all they bring is that they care about the children and the youth of Hillsborough County. So if you're thinking about volunteering, please give us a call at 813-307-3325, and we'll be more than happy to explain the entire application process, but we'd love to talk to you to see how you could make a difference here in Hillsborough County. Again, the number is 813-307-3325, or you can visit our website at www.galtampa.org. Please think about making a difference in the life of a child today.
Hello, my name is Dina Levengood, and I'm a resident of the city of Tampa, Florida, and I'm here to talk about the things that mostly concern me in this community as a community advocate. I work with Tomorrow Matters, which is a regional sustainability group working together with business, organizations, government, and citizens on finding a way to balance natural, social, and economic systems. And I'm also an active member of the League of Women Voters. And in that regard, I'm really interested in making sure that citizens and residents of our community have fair, clean government that works for them. And so today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of the issues that are of most concern. One is health care. And I want to let you know that my husband's a small business owner here in this community, and the Affordable Care Act has really helped us in regard to him being able to provide health care insurance coverage for his employees. He's been offering that for a number of years now, and in the last 2 years, because of the Affordable Care Act, small business has gotten money back from their income taxes, or at least a credit, so that they are reimbursed for some of the funds that they've spent. My husband's gotten back over $7,000 in the last 2 years for that. Plus, he also just got back money from his insurance company, who hadn't spent 80-20 on actual care for employees. So it's of a benefit to not only the business, but to the employees as well. And the Affordable Care Act protects women and women's rights, children, all adults, seniors, and everyone else who need medical care in our community. We're looking now at doing healthcare exchanges, which I hope that we have support from our state government in being able to implement that, and that in fact we go ahead and continue to provide for those who don't have the ability to purchase insurance now. They'll be able to then get coverage in the future. And those of us who have insurance will be able to keep what we have, so it's not going to hurt anyone. This act also has been able to help us in a lot of other ways. It's allowed us to keep our children on our insurance until they're 26 years old. It's allowed us to provide for women to have prenatal care, as well as to have access to family planning and services, as well as pharmaceuticals. It's really important for people to be able to control their own health and to be responsible for their own health. And a large part of this plan also includes being able to help educate people about ways to best do that, preventive care and ways to prevent catching and being sick from different diseases. And I think it's really important that we go ahead and encourage everyone to take advantage of those opportunities. It will cost us less in the long run if everyone takes care of themselves and we don't have the problems with obesities and the other chronic diseases that are so prevalent right now because of that. I think it's also really, really important that we talk about the environment. We have climate change, and it is happening now, and we're all suffering the consequences of that. Even here in Tampa, we have more flooding now than we've ever had before. The storms are much worse when they happen, and then we're also separating those storms with terrible drought in between. Climate change is going to continue to worsen. And we need to make that something that we take into consideration as we're making our plans for the future. And that means reducing our carbon footprints, reducing emissions, cutting down on different ways that we're contributing to greenhouse gases. And we can do that on individual levels as well as corporate levels. And I think government's place is to help us to find a way to do that affordably and appropriately. So I guess my most important issues have to do with the environment and natural resources and public health, all of which are impacted by climate change and also all of which are impacted by people's access to public health and insurance and to have good health care. And I think that that's really what's the most important for all of us to look at. So thank you for taking that under consideration as we're moving forward. We need public health to be protected. We need to protect the climate and the environment. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andrea Brogan, and I am here representing Meals on Wheels of Tampa. Meals on Wheels is dedicated to the care and the health of our seniors in the homebound. And what we do to help care for them is we deliver a hot meal to them around noonday, Monday through Friday. And then on Fridays, they actually get a frozen meal, 2 frozen meals to last them through the weekend. What some of you may not know is that right now, over 9 million people over the age of 50 in the United States are actually concerned that they do not have funds to have a balanced and healthy diet. So what we help them do is we actually serve those meals and deliver those meals on a daily basis to make sure that they're getting the food and the nutrition that they do need. We do this by volunteers. Right now we have over 700 volunteers and 64 of them are needed daily in order to get out to these 700 different seniors and homebound. We do only serve the greater Tampa area as of right now. And the food is delivered hot. It comes out of our kitchen every day around 9 a.m. And then it is dispersed to 12 different drop-off sites around Tampa so that volunteers who live in Lutz can go to a Lutz church and pick up the food and get it delivered. And they may never come to our office on Hillsborough Avenue. This enables to be less gas money and less time for every volunteer that's involved. Volunteers who are involved, it takes about an hour to deliver the meals. You serve about 8 to 15 different recipients, and we're always looking for volunteers. I mean, we deliver as far south as MacDill Air Force Base, up to Lutz, out to West Chase, and then over to I-75. So if you have an hour around lunchtime any day, it can be once a month, it can be once a week, it can be every day if you have the time. All of those are greatly appreciated. We also work with companies that adopt a route, and basically what that means is you might have a company that says we want to deliver every Tuesday, and so every Tuesday they make sure someone is there to deliver it, and oftentimes they send 2 people at a time, which helps with team building and also helps with the employees feeling good about where they work. So we definitely rely on our volunteers and our partnerships and different companies. And of course, lastly, we are a private nonprofit, which means we do not accept any United Way or government grants. Those are great partners and great people. However, they made that decision 36 years ago that they wanted to be sure that if someone called us today, that we could get them a meal by tomorrow without a lot of paperwork. So we are definitely private, and we just rely on the generosity of our community. So if you are able to help out either by volunteering or donations, please give our office a call at 813-238-8410 or stop by our website at www.mowtampa.org. Thank you.
Change your life. Learn TV and internet video production skills at TBCN in Tampa. Become a skilled video producer quickly and inexpensively. Learn audio, editing, lighting, and camera basics. Produce multi-camera videos for TV, the internet, business, or pleasure.
Welcome to my live call-in show on Tampa Bay Community Network. You too can learn to produce and star in your own video programming, or you can have TBCN staff do it for you.
call TBCN at 813-977-5200 today and change your life. Visit our website at tbcn.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
You're watching Tampa Bay Soapbox.
Hi, I'm Debbie McCarthy with Feeding America Tampa Bay. Of all the world's ills and inequities, hunger is arguably the cruelest of all. Feeding America Tampa Bay is a branch of Feeding America, the nation's largest domestic hunger relief organization. We have a 10-county area in West Central Florida. That area contains 700,000 persons who are struggling with hunger. 250 of them are children. The task of Feeding America Tampa Bay is to provide the missing meals in the lives of the children, families, and senior citizens who struggle with hunger in our area. Last year, we distributed 25 million pounds of food into West Central Florida counties. That's enough to provide 1.7 million meals every month. The way we do this is that we receive food donations from many sources, from every major grocery retailer in our market, from food manufacturers, from the agricultural business in our state, and from individuals who hold organized food drives in our communities. We work with 700 hunger relief organizations, large and small. Some are very sophisticated with their own trucks and paid staff. Most are faith-based, run completely by volunteers, and operate on a shoestring budget. Those are the people who do the work of feeding our neighbors who are suffering from the effects of today's economic crises. We serve families and people who have lived in generations of poverty, as well as people who are the new poor, people who never expected to be in need of assistance, people who never expected to lose their homes or their jobs, people who never expected to have trouble providing for their children. Through our 700 agencies, we provide food for them to feed their clients in their neighborhoods. We count on their expertise to know the situations of the families whom they serve. We take the food into our warehouse, we sort it with the help of many, many dedicated volunteers every day, and get it back out into the community while it is still wholesome. Our retail food rescue brings a lot of food into our warehouse that has the clock ticking on it by the time it arrives. Therefore, it's really important for us to be able to process that food and make it available to our agencies who actually feed the hungry as quickly as possible while that food is still wholesome. We put our entire inventory of food on a computerized basis so that it can be accessible to the hunger relief organizations we serve as quickly as possible. Some of them come and pick it up in broken down cars and pickup trucks. Others have it delivered straight to them by the food bank. In all, we are so proud of the collaborations that we have with so many hunger relief organizations in our 10-county area. The food bank, Feeding America Tampa Bay, also conducts direct service programs. Most of our direct service programs are for the children in our community. We serve our Children Kids Cafe, our after-school meals for low-income kids who otherwise would go without dinner, which is 40% of their nutritional need. And we serve kids backpacks that gives them food to take home over the weekend when we know they don't have access to school food and school meals, and many times that's sort of just really tough hunger time for kids. So the other program that we have that feeds families is our mobile pantry program. We take a refrigerated truck full of good, nutritious, perishable food into neighborhoods of need, and we distribute it directly to the residents who stand in line and get their allocation of all the nutrient-rich foods. We depend on funding mostly from private corporations and from individuals who make it possible for us to do our work. If at any time you have the opportunity to support legislation or advocate for hunger relief in our area, we would be most grateful for your support.
My name is Hank Fauché. I'm a retired U.S. Marine and a member of the Project Grace Board of Directors. As Americans, we are blessed with the freedom and the ability to make many decisions. We decide where we will live, we decide what we will eat, and in a few weeks, we will make an important decision about who will lead our nation. Some decisions are more important than others, and some decisions have lasting impacts on our families. One of the most important decisions you can make is regarding medical treatment at the end of your life. Working as a hospital chaplain, I've seen patients young and old facing these end-of-life decisions. Family and personal emotions are varied and intense, and it is difficult to think clearly at these times. I've seen families paralyzed with indecisions and siblings pitted against each other and against their parents as they attempt to discern a family member's last wishes. We at Project Grace believe in the dignity of every life, and we believe that every person has the right to decide what life-prolonging treatment, if any, he or she will receive. We do not advocate for or against any particular treatment, only that patients make their wishes known and that these wishes are followed. The process of reaching and communicating your decision can be an important time for you and for your family. Frank and open discussions provide the opportunity to raise and resolve many issues and family concerns and issues. These discussions can also bring healing to broken and strained relationships. We encourage you to give your family and friends a loving gift by sparing them the pain of having to guess your desires regarding life-prolonging treatments. You have the freedom to make your own decisions, and you also have the right to have those decisions honored. Make your decisions known by completing a living will and naming a healthcare surrogate who will speak on your behalf if you're unable to. Project Grace can help. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to that purpose. You can download forms and additional information from our website, www.projectgrace.org. Visit us today and give your family and friends the freedom of knowing your wishes. Again, that website is www.projectgrace.org. I want to thank you for listening, and your family will thank you for making these decisions.
Good evening. My name is Joe Villada-Morris. I'm a guardian ad litem for the 13th Circuit Court. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the guardian ad litem program, more specifically what one can expect as a guardian ad litem. A lot of times I do interviews for incoming guardians, and one of the questions they ask is, you know, what can I expect while doing this? Probably the best way to help you understand that is to explain to you what happened to me on one of the cases that I'm involved in right now. Had a young mother came down from up north, had a child that had cystic fibrosis. She moved down here with her mother and her mother's boyfriend, thinking that everything would be fine. They came here. The baby became sick, and they neglected to take the baby to the hospital. By the time they took the baby to the hospital, it was almost dead. Naturally, the people at the hospital called the Child Protective Services. Child Protective Services determined that the child needed to be sheltered from the mother because the mother was neglecting the child's health. That's when I came on board. I was asked to take the case. I took the case, and we started a process of trying to reunify the mother with the child, train the mother how to take care of the child. Things were going good for about 3 or 4 months. Then suddenly mom started losing interest. Now, one of the issues that we had with this case was that on the birth certificate there was listed no father, and the mother had never told anybody who the father might be. So there was a search going on trying to figure out who the father was. Keep in mind that the case managers that work for the state, they sometimes have anywhere from 20 to 30 cases. So they can't spend a lot of time on the case. Whereas the guardian ad litem will only have 2 or 3 cases. So we can spend a lot of time on a case trying to find stuff out. Anyway, I started doing a little research, and I talked to the mother and found out that she had a sister up north. When I found that out, I called the sister. I said, "What's your sister's phone number?" She gave me the phone number, called her sister up, and told her sister what was going on down in Florida. Her sister, then I also asked her sister, I said, "Is there by any chance you could give me the name of somebody that she was going with whenever she may have had this baby?" And the sister said, "Yeah." She gave me this guy's name, and so I tried to call him, couldn't call him, so I called her back, and she said, "Let me give you his sister's name." So she gave me his sister's name. I called her, and she said, "Oh yeah, he's right over here." So I finally got a hold of him, got him to do a paternity test because he didn't even know the child existed. And so he got into a position where he thought he could step up. But at some point, he had to drop out. So now I had a situation where I had to find some permanency for the child. Mother was starting to drop off. She wasn't showing any interest. So we finally talked to the mother and recommended to her that she surrender her rights as a parent so we could put the child up for adoption. Meanwhile, I was talking to the father's sister, the paternal aunt, and she started becoming very talkative about, "Oh, maybe we can take the child." Next thing you know, we got the child moved up to up north to the aunt, and now we're into what we call the adoption phase of the case. If there hadn't been a guardian in the case, it's most likely that this whole thing would have fallen through the cracks, and we probably have a child in foster care right now. So now we've got one adoption coming up. Thank you very much.
Hola, mi nombre es Andrea Seabra. Les estoy hablando el día de hoy porque les quería hacer recordar que ser indocumentado no es un crimen, porque yo lo soy. Y quiero decirles que hay muchas oportunidades ahí. Yo vine a este país a los 11 años de edad y en realidad nunca supe lo que iba a ser mi futuro. Entré a estudiar y cuando me gradué no pensé que podía entrar a la universidad. A pesar que tengo 25 años y es mi primer año, la verdad estoy muy bendecida y quiero dejarte saber que tú también lo puedes hacer. No te olvides de seguir tus sueños. Ahora estoy estudiando, gracias a Dios, a una organización llamada Farm Worker Self-Help. Estoy siguiendo mis sueños y quiero que sepas que tú también lo puedes hacer. Ser ilegal no es algo para que uno tenga que pensar que es malo o tenga que avergonzarse. Uno siempre tiene que estar orgulloso de lo que es. Hay alguna razón por la cual nosotros pasamos por lo que pasamos y nos hace las personas que somos hoy. O sea que sigue para adelante, dale fuerzas a todo. Como yo lo hice, tienes que tener a tu familia primero para que siempre esté apoyándote. Y si tienes las ganas de estudiar, lo vas a poder lograr. Y recuérdate que todos los sueños se pueden cumplir y puedes llegar a ser la persona que quieras hacer. Gracias.
Tampa Bay Soapbox.
Dr. Pamela Mesmer, and I'm the Executive Director of Brookwood, Florida, Incorporated. It's my pleasure today to share with you the story of a little-known program in the Tampa Bay area. Brookwood is a residential group home for teenage girls. Our specialty is helping those girls who have been abandoned, abused, or neglected, usually at the hands of their parents, and they've been removed and placed in a group home setting. Brookwood focuses not on the ills of the past and the horrible tragedy that brought them to us, but more on what we can do moving forward and planning for your future. Our focus is on educational planning and completing high school, getting a certification in something that would help them with employment, entering college arenas, learning job skills, employability skills, time management, money management, understanding the importance of getting to work on time, and good work ethic, which seems to be an issue that young people struggle with these days. We also have a focus on independent living preparation, where all the skills that we generally take for granted, learning growing up in an intact family, these girls have not been afforded those opportunities in most cases. We help them learn the skills that they're going to need to know to be self-sufficient and take their place in adulthood. The most important part of our program, I believe, is the caring, loving relationships that are made with their peers, with the staff members, with caring professionals who provide 24-hour, 7-day-a-week awake coverage and take care of their needs as they grow, mature, and improve. We have licensed clinical social workers, licensed mental health counselors, and specialists in the problems of teenagers, the problems that are remnants of sexual abuse and family dysfunction. We help these girls through individual, group, and family counseling to become the best young adult that they can and break the cycles of dysfunction and abuse. Our goal with each of these girls is to prepare them for adulthood, to send them into society as a contributing member of their community. And in most cases, that means they're going from our program into the Tampa Bay area. We're proud to be contributing to the Tampa Bay area, girls that grow up in spite of some very, very overwhelming challenges, take their place in the work world, in educational settings, create families of their own that are healthy and strong and free of dysfunction and abuse. That's Brookwood. We've been doing this job, this very important work, for 85 years. In downtown St. Pete, we take girls from all over the state of Florida that are placed by the dependency system. We also take girls who are placed temporarily by their families to work on family issues. Families in crisis that can participate in counseling and hopefully have their young lady return to them as soon as possible. Family unity is very important, and we are happy to be a part of what we contribute back to the Tampa Bay area. It's been my pleasure to work with these young ladies for 34 years. I've seen a lot of growth and change. There's always the promise, the hope, and young ladies, as they get better and healthier and move into the community, keep in touch, let us know how they're doing with their lives. And that's a wonderful thing to be a part of. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Clyde Darville. Today I'd like to talk to you about the Cuban embargo. The United States should allow for the exportation of pre-1960 car and truck parts to the Cuban people. This should be allowed for humanitarian reasons only. The cars and trucks on the roads of Cuba are very unsafe, and accidents are injuring and killing people of Cuba. Cubans can't get parts engineered for the safety of these vehicles. In 1960, there were over 150,000 American cars and trucks in Cuba. Today, there are an estimated 60,000 still on the road. Up until last year, by law in Cuba, you could not sell your car. You could only pass it down to a family member, with some cars being passed down to a third generation. Cubans have a love of American cars, with their car being a status symbol and a significant part of their life. I traveled to Cuba last November for an international trade show for 5 days. I wanted to see firsthand how they have been able to keep these cars and trucks on the road for the 50+ years without a supply of parts. I visited some automotive machine shops and witnessed firsthand taking a cast iron water pipe and machining it to be sized and pressed in an old engine block that had worn cylinders just to be able to reuse the old pistons. I saw a shop that rebuilt brake cylinders with replacement rubber components being made by hand. I saw them making brake fluid using mineral oil, shampoo, soap, sap from a tree. I took a tour of old Havana, beautiful 1957 Ford convertible, and after was welcome to sit in the front seat and take a picture. While sitting behind the steering wheel, I turned it left and then right and found the steering wheel would travel 180 degrees in each direction before any resistance to turn the wheels. In my 5 days in Havana, I came upon 2 head-on accidents that had happened on multi-lane highways. After seeing the inner workings of the parts and materials used to keep these vehicles on the road, I was surprised that I didn't see more accidents. In the United States, we're allowed to export agricultural products to Cuba for humanitarian reasons. Yet we can't export parts that would save lives and bring the people of Cuba and the United States closer together. In Cuba, these vehicles have been declared a part of their national heritage. If we were allowed to export pre-1960 car and truck parts to Cuba for humanitarian reasons, it would create a bond with the Cuban people and the people of the United States, knowing that we have concerns of their well-being and heritage. I have a second topic I'd like to discuss, and is basically called my jobs plan. My jobs plan is to give small business, big business, any business, $300 a week for each unemployed worker hired at a pay rate of at least $10 per hour for 12 months. This would give a business time to make the employee profitable for the business. Right now, some unemployed can get more being unemployed than working for minimum wage. This plan would solve that problem. The employee and business would still pay into Social Security and pay federal taxes on wages, giving some of the money back to the government. It would take years for governments to implement the plans for job growth that have been proposed. I have a small business with 6 employees, and under this plan I would hire a new employee not as a need, but to help me expand my business. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bill Sefakar. I've been a Tampa resident in Tampa Bay area for almost 30 years. I migrated down from Washington, D.C. And I really appreciate the opportunity that public access affords the community to talk with their fellow citizens about things that are happening that are important to us. And I know firsthand, because I had the privilege and opportunity to work over 13 years producing a show for public access in the Tampa Bay area. Tampa Bay Public Access has given me this privilege, as well as other citizens in the community. And the show, B'nai B'rith Presents Jewish Life in Tampa Bay, gave citizens on different issues and policies to talk about what's important in their community. And we have something very, very important that's happening here in Tampa for this Republican National Convention that will affect the lives of all of us. And it's interesting because it's not just Tampa Bay this time, it's the United States and the world. And I know firsthand, because I'd been very active in my early years in college. I was very idealistic, and I tried to change the world. And I know it can be a lot of difficult things that get in the way, but you work together with people and you can make a difference. And I actually got involved in many political activities for the Democratic Party and had an amazing experience being in Chicago for the Democratic National Committee convention. And those of you can remember back to 1968, it was a very tumultuous time with the war in Vietnam and issues and demonstrations, and well, that's part of democracy and that's part of our political system. And in '72, I worked for the Democratic Committee and their convention in Miami. I had an opportunity to be there on the floor in the convention interviewing prominent national figures and doing radio for the Democratic Committee. I traveled with Sergeant Shriver. Sergeant Shriver was the vice presidential candidate under George McGovern, the presidential candidate. And that was quite an experience, if you could imagine traveling, crisscrossing the country for Sergeant Shriver, a very remarkable American and statesman. And in '76, I worked coordinating a congressional district for presidential candidate Jimmy Carter in central Pennsylvania. So I think it's wonderful that people can get involved in doing these things, and the Republicans that are coming to Tampa, they have high hopes for their candidate, and everybody's going to work hard to hopefully the best person wins. And I know that I'll be doing my part for the candidate of my choice. You might figure out who that might be, but certainly we need to consider all views from all sides of the platforms, all sides of the aisle. I know when I was in Washington in the '70s, there were things that, there were issues and people worked together and compromised. And I'm hoping that the reconciliation for these very important issues from people's point of view, that we overcome party preferences and work together, because that's what made this country strong, and it made this country the best place to live. And I don't mind working with people that have different views and making this community better. And we have this opportunity in the next 3 weeks when the Republican convention is here to voice our opinions and try to get our country righted from a lot of the animosity and diversiveness that has taken place in the last 10 years. So I'd like to thank again Public Access TV for this opportunity. And it's a beautiful community here in Tampa Bay. The rest of the world will see firsthand, if they haven't, from Super Bowls and other activities, sports events. But this is a beautiful place to live, and that's why we're here.
For a copy of this program, or to record a different message for family or friends, please call 813-977-5200. Credit cards welcome.
Tampa Bay Community Network is a service of Speak Up Tampa Bay, a 501c3 nonprofit. We rely on contributions from the community to provide this great free speech venue. Please consider donating through our website at www.tbcn.org or send contributions to TBCN, P.O. Box 4177, Tampa 33677.